dismissed the moment she walked into the workshop. The 35-year-old engineer could feel the weight of judgment settle in the room. The Bugatti sat lifeless on the polished floor, surrounded by elite specialists, expensive tools, and thick egos. To them, she was just another outsider. Too young, too quiet, and, in their eyes, unqualified to speak on a machine worth millions. Conversations lowered when she approached. Smirks appeared when she asked simple questions. The CEO barely acknowledged her presence. While others obsessed over software resets, sensor replacements, and costly component swaps, she did something no one else had bothered to do. She listened. She studied the car's history, traced the pattern of failures, and questioned assumptions that had gone unchallenged for weeks. Her mind worked not on reputation, but on logic. She noticed a subtle inconsistency in the data logs, a mismatch between pressure readings and thermal behavior that pointed to a deeper mechanical truth. As she calmly explained her diagnosis, the room resisted. Experts interrupted her. Someone laughed. But she stood firm, breaking down the problem step by step, revealing a hidden failure buried beneath layers of false conclusions. It wasn't a catastrophic engine death as assumed. It was a rare, overlooked flaw that only appeared under specific conditions. Silence followed. One by one, faces changed. What they had missed for weeks she uncovered in minutes. In that moment, disbelief turned into respect. The car hadn't just been diagnosed, it had been understood. With the diagnosis confirmed, she didn't celebrate or seek validation. She simply rolled up her sleeves and got to work. Her movements were calm, deliberate, every step guided by understanding rather than guesswork. The room that once doubted her now watched in uneasy silence as she approached the dead Bugatti, a machine others had written off as a multi-million-dollar loss. She bypassed unnecessary replacements and ignored the noisy suggestions flooding the workshop. Instead, she focused on the single overlooked fault she had identified. Subtle, rare, and invisible to anyone chasing obvious failures. With precise adjustments and a custom-calibrated solution, she corrected what weeks of trial and error had only made worse. No dramatic speeches, no grand gestures, just engineering in its purest form. As she worked, the tension grew. Tools paused mid-air. Conversations stopped. Every action she took was confident yet restrained, as if she'd done this 100 times before. When the final step was complete, she stepped back and nodded once, quietly certain. The ignition sequence began. For a brief, unbearable second, nothing happened. Then the engine came alive, smooth, controlled, perfect. The Bugatti's roar wasn't loud chaos. It was refined power, restored exactly as it was meant to be. Disbelief swept the room. Specialists who had failed stood frozen, unable to look away. In that moment, it became clear. True genius doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need permission, applause, or expectation. When it works, it speaks for itself, and it cannot be ignored. As the engine roared back to life, the sound cut through the workshop like a shockwave. Conversations died instantly. The deep, controlled growl of the Bugatti wasn't just mechanical, it was symbolic. Months of frustration, millions at stake, and countless failed attempts were erased in a single moment. Every eye turned toward the CEO. He stood frozen, hands clenched, staring at the car as if seeing it for the first time. This was the machine his top experts had quietly declared beyond saving. The same car he had prepared to write off as a loss. And the person standing beside it, calm, composed, and unassuming, was the one he had barely acknowledged. For the first time that day, he was speechless. The room waited for him to speak, to reclaim authority, to explain away what had just happened. But there was nothing to explain. The evidence was running smoothly before him. His assumptions about experience, appearance, and who belongs in rooms like this had just collapsed. He finally stepped forward, not with arrogance, but with restraint. His expression shifted from disbelief to something rarer, humility. In that moment, he understood a truth no boardroom strategy could teach. Talent doesn't ask for permission. Intelligence doesn't wear a uniform, and mastery doesn't follow stereotypes. The engineer didn't demand praise, she didn't need it. The engine had already spoken louder than any title ever could.